In advertising, creative strategy is the organising plan of action for a creative idea. The creative strategy process is mainly involved in these three outputs: POT, platform, orchestration and tactics. Watch to the end of this video where we break it down with an example from Dove's Real Beauty campaign. It all starts with the idea platform. It's your job as the creative strategist to get a clear vision of the idea that is being executed and have an understanding of what works with this idea and what does not. Once that's narrowed down, you'll now be able to move on to orchestration. Here, the job is to orchestrate all the different executions in a campaign so they make sense together. And finally, it's to brief in all the tactics so that they adhere to the main idea. This also includes the channels where the tactics come to life. When do you do creative strategy? Creative strategy begins the minute the creatives come up with an idea. The idea could come to life in a number of forms: posters, manifestos, TV ads, or an event. Here's where POT comes in. The first role of coming up with the idea platform is essential. Once the platform is nailed, it is now time to come up with the orchestration of the elements. The creative strategist works with the media agency and own channels to work out what executions are going to be made and how they will all interact together. Once the orchestration has been created, now the creative strategist needs to write the tactical briefs involved in the campaign. Brand and creative strategies are often connected, but they are very different from each other. Brand strategy happens at a higher level, and it's strategy that never changes over time. It directs the higher order pieces that need to come to life in all future campaigns, including the creative campaign. Creative strategy, on the other hand, is based on the executions for a campaign. It changes over time, and elements of the brand strategy will come to life in the creative strategy. A creative strategist requires someone who has a good understanding of creative ideas and can help articulate abstract concepts. They have a good understanding of channels and they're good at orchestrating the pieces together. They are experts in the channels and are often asked to do the idea platform as well as orchestration. Creative strategists tend to be people who feel more comfortable with helping to amplify and making an idea better rather than starting with a blank piece of paper. Here's a great example of an idea platform made by Oglivy and Mather for Dove. The brand strategy for Dove is that it believes in celebrating beauty in its diversity and doing so, raising the self-esteem of women and young girls globally. With the media setting a narrow expectation of what beauty should look like and beauty brands using women's insecurity to get sales, Dove set their creative campaign apart with the idea that beauty has a broad spectrum, showing diversity in skin color, hair, body shape, and age. The creative idea platform is one statement that guides all future creative campaigns. For Dove Real Beauty, that would be something along the lines of: Dove believes in celebrating beauty in its diversity and in doing so, raising the self-esteem of women and young girls globally. This idea platform has three elements that every campaign must have: beauty, diversity, and self-esteem. So every execution must firstly show that the media sets a narrow, unrealistic standard of beauty. In terms of diversity, every idea must show the broad spectrum of beauty. Then finally, with self-esteem, it must turn beauty into a source of confidence, not anxiety for women. Now, let's look at three pieces of work that live up to this.
What would be your most prominent feature?
Kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Their Real Beauty campaign separates the brand from their competitors by turning beauty and appearance into a source of confidence, not anxiety and insecurity. This was well executed in the Dove Real Beauty Sketches campaign released in April 2013. Now let's break down the creative strategy behind it. The consumer problem that research found that only 4% of the women across the world felt good about themselves and how they looked. So they started with a brief: let's make women feel more beautiful by, and then the insight that they found was that there was a stark contrast between how women perceive themselves versus how others see them. They started exploring ways to execute and visualize this idea, from photographs to portraits, and then the one that stood out, forensic sketches. They street-casted women to be the subject of 2 portraits drawn by an FBI-trained forensic artist, one based on their own descriptions and then the other using a stranger's observation. The result? 2 very different versions of the women's sketches revealed to them side by side, and the forensic artist asking them, "Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?" They all answer yes. It ends with the brand message and tagline, "You are more beautiful than you think." With an emotional impact and powerful message such as this, director John X. Carey suggested that the film is the only way to give the idea justice, and that's what they did. This resulted in the video being one of the most viewed advertisements of all time, uploaded in 25 different languages, and has been viewed in more than 110 countries. PR served as a key channel for its distribution, with its initial placement with mainstream media such as the Today Show and Channel 7 Morning Show in Australia, and on Dove's YouTube brand channel. It was quickly shared all over the internet. Dove Real Beauty Sketches alone has more than 11 million views. Beyond views and shares, Sketches also won the Grand Effie for effectiveness, for driving $52 million worth of earned media and $24 million in incremental sales. That's really impressive for an ad that didn't even have the product in it. This is just a sneak peek into the role of a creative strategist. If you're interested in learning more about a strategist in advertising, check out my free workshops that I run at the Strategy Finishing School. I'll leave a link in the comments.